You can wire a subpanel for only the 50 amps for the spot because the subpanel is connected to a single 50 amp breaker in the main panel, which provides adequate protection. If a subsequent electrician adds a 20 amp breaker to the 125 amp panel without increasing the main breaker to 125 amps, it will create an overcurrent condition. The combined amperage draw on the panel, which would then be 70 amps, will surpass the main breaker's 50 amp capacity, resulting in a potential electrical hazard. You are not obligated to wire the 125 amp panel for 125 amps if only connecting 50 amps. However, it is generally recommended to keep the panel's full capacity available for future growth or additions. It is best practice to wire the subpanel to match the amperage of the spot load, which is 50 amps, and maintain the main panel's capacity for future needs. To ensure safety, place a warning label indicating that the panel is not fully utilized and that any additional circuits must not exceed the main breaker rating of 50 amps. To elaborate further, consider the implications of exceeding the amperage rating of the main breaker. Circuit breakers are designed to protect electrical circuits from overcurrents, which can cause overheating, fires, and damage to equipment. When the current in a circuit exceeds the breaker's rating, the breaker trips, interrupting the flow of electricity and preventing further damage. In this scenario, if the total load on the 50 amp breaker exceeds 50 amps, the breaker will trip, shutting off power to the spot and any other circuits connected to the subpanel. This can be inconvenient and potentially dangerous, especially if the spot is in use. To prevent overcurrent situations, it is essential to carefully calculate the total load on the subpanel and ensure that it does not exceed the rating of the main breaker. This includes accounting for all appliances, equipment, and lighting fixtures connected to the subpanel. If the total load is close to the breaker's rating, it is advisable to increase the breaker size or reduce the load to provide a safety margin. The National Electrical Code, also known as NEC, provides guidelines for calculating electrical loads and selecting appropriate circuit breaker sizes. It is important to consult the NEC and follow its recommendations to ensure the safety and reliability of the electrical system. In addition to overcurrent protection, it is also crucial to provide proper grounding for the subpanel. Grounding helps to protect against electrical shock by providing a low resistance path for fault currents to flow back to the source. This allows the circuit breaker to trip quickly in the event of a ground fault, minimizing the risk of electrical shock. The NEC requires that all electrical panels be properly grounded. The grounding system should include a grounding electrode conductor connected to a grounding electrode, such as a ground rod or water pipe. The grounding electrode conductor should be sized according to the NEC and properly connected to the panel's grounding bus. When wiring the subpanel, it is essential to use the correct wire size for the amperage rating of the circuit. The NEC provides tables that specify the minimum wire size for various amperage ratings. Using a wire that is too small can cause overheating and potentially lead to a fire. The wire size should be selected based on the ampacity of the circuit, which is the maximum current that the wire can safely carry. The ampacity of a wire depends on its size, insulation type, and installation conditions. When running wires to the subpanel, it is important to protect them from physical damage. Wires should be installed in conduit or other protective enclosures to prevent them from being cut, crushed, or otherwise damaged. This is especially important in areas where the wires are exposed to mechanical stress or environmental hazards. In addition to the above considerations, it is also important to follow all applicable local electrical codes and regulations. Electrical codes vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, so it is essential to check with the local authorities to ensure compliance. A licensed electrician can provide guidance on local code requirements and ensure that the electrical installation is safe and compliant. When installing the subpanel, it is important to choose a location that is accessible and free from obstructions. The panel should be mounted securely to a wall or other suitable structure and should be protected from moisture and other environmental hazards. The panel should also be located in a well-ventilated area to prevent overheating. Before working on any electrical equipment, it is essential to disconnect the power supply. This can be done by turning off the circuit breaker that feeds the subpanel. It is also a good idea to use a voltage tester to verify that the power is off before touching any wires or terminals. When working with electrical wires, it is important to use insulated tools to prevent electrical shock. Insulated tools provide a barrier between the user and the electrical current, reducing the risk of injury. It is also important to wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as safety glasses and gloves, to protect against potential hazards. When making connections to the subpanel, it is important to ensure that the connections are tight and secure. Loose connections can cause overheating and potentially lead to a fire. Connections should be made using appropriate connectors and terminals, and they should be tightened to the manufacturer's specifications. After completing the wiring, it is important to test the subpanel to ensure that it is working properly. This can be done using a multimeter to check the voltage and current in the circuits. It is also important to check the grounding system to ensure that it is properly connected. If any problems are found, they should be corrected before putting the subpanel into service. Finally, it is important to keep a record of the electrical installation, including the wiring diagram, circuit breaker schedule, and any other relevant information. This record will be helpful for future maintenance and troubleshooting. In summary, wiring a subpanel first of all requires careful planning and attention to detail. It is essential to follow all applicable electrical codes and regulations and to use appropriate materials and techniques. By following these guidelines, you can ensure that the electrical installation is safe, reliable, and compliant. Also, as a note, regarding the amperage of the panel's rating indicates the maximum current it can safely handle. The 125 amp rating signifies the panel's capacity to accommodate multiple circuits up to a combined total of 125 amps. However, the actual load on the panel is determined by the breakers installed and the devices connected to them. If the main breaker is rated at 50 amps, the total current drawn from the panel cannot exceed 50 amps, regardless of the panel's 125 amp rating. Adding a 20 amp breaker without upgrading the main breaker will create an oversubscribed situation. The combined potential draw of 70 amps exceeds the main breaker's capacity, leading to a trip. The neck, specifically section 210.22, addresses the continuous and non-continuous loads on the circuit. A continuous load is defined as a load that operates for 3 IOs or more. The NEC requires that the overcurrent protection device, such as a circuit breaker, be rated at not less than 125% of a continuous load. For example, if a circuit has a continuous load of 16 amps, the circuit breaker must be rated at least 20 amps. The NEC also provides guidelines for calculating the total load on a panel. Section 220 covers the calculation of branch circuit, feeder, and service loads. The calculations take into account the type of occupancy, the square footage of the building, and the appliances and equipment that will be connected to the electrical system. The NEC also addresses the issue of future expansion. Section 220.87 allows for the use of an optional calculation method for existing dwelling units. This method allows the calculated load to be based on the actual load that is being used, rather than the potential load that could be used. However, the NEC also requires that the electrical system be adequate to handle any future loads that may be added. The labeling requirement is crucial. A clear warning label should be placed on the panel stating that the total load in the panel must not exceed 50 amps. This will help to prevent future electricians from adding circuits that would overload the panel. The label should be prominently displayed and easily readable. The label should include the following information: the maximum total load on the panel is 50 amps. Any additional circuits must not exceed the main breaker rating. Before adding any circuits, consult with a qualified electrician. The use of appropriate conductors is paramount for safety and efficiency. The size of the conductors must be adequate to carry the amperage of the circuit. The NEC provides tables that specify the minimum conductor size for various amperage ratings. The tables take into account the type of conductor, the insulation rating, and the ambient temperature. It is important to consult the NEC and use the correct conductor size for the application. The use of appropriate overcurrent protection devices is also critical. Circuit breakers and fuses are designed to protect electrical circuits from overcurrents. These devices will trip or blow when the current exceeds the rating of the device, interrupting the flow of electricity and preventing damage to the electrical system. It is important to use the correct size overcurrent protection device for the circuit. The NEC provides guidelines for selecting the appropriate overcurrent protection device. Also, the ambient temperature rating plays a part in selecting the correct wire and breaker size. For example, a 90° C wire and breaker must be used in high temperature environments so the wire insulation does not melt, which could cause a potential fire and electrical failures. Firstly, consult the NEC to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. Secondly, calculate the total load on the subpanel, taking into account all appliances, equipment, and lighting fixtures. Thirdly, select the appropriate wire size and overcurrent protection device for the circuit. Fourthly, install the subpanel in a location that is accessible and free from obstructions. Fifthly, disconnect the power supply before working on any electrical equipment. Sixthly, use insulated tools and wear appropriate personal protective equipment. Seventhly, make sure that all connections are tight and secure. Eighthly, test the subpanel to ensure that it is working properly. Ninthly, label the panel with a warning stating that the total load must not exceed 50 amps. Tenthly, keep a record of the electrical installation for future reference. The panel should be rated appropriately based on the calculated load. However, in this scenario, it is safe to use the 125 amp rated panel for the 50 amp service.